I think that it was this perfect storm of like kind of falling out of love with my job and falling in love with something else and someone else. And like, so I was like, I don't have any property. I don't own anything. So why not just try moving? So I moved for a bit, ended up being successful because we just had a baby. So
Kendall, welcome to Rad-Ventures, the podcast that takes you on an exhilarating journey through the lives of entrepreneurs and business owners. Now, it's slightly different to our usual guests in that you are not a business owner well, perhaps you're an entrepreneur, perhaps you'll let us know. But
yeah,
you are, however, an interesting person with an interesting story. And also, you are the community manager for the software that we're using to record this podcast. I'm excited to have you on, Kendall. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
yeah. So not a business owner, not an entrepreneur, but grateful to be here. Um, I am Kendall Breitman, and I'm the community manager at Riverside FM. It's a recording and editing platform that a lot of podcasters and video creators use to create their content end to end. And so basically, what I do with my job is I support the people that are using our product. I listen about what's important to them. I report it back to our team. I make connections within the community. So it's a cool, different kind of marketing where it's really built on like human to human connection. And so, yeah, that's really about me and my job, I guess. But it's a really fun job because I get to meet people like you and get on these conversations with people and just like from all around the world and hear what they care about. And then it's also really cool because you use that for marketing a bit. Like, how do we, like, getting to know your audience? How do you speak to those people? What do they care about? What's important to them? What are their goals? All of that, and helping that kind of drive where the product's going next and how we speak to people.
I love that. That's fantastic. And I can tell that you actually love what you do because obviously I follow Riverside on Instagram, my favorite platform. For those that watch or listen regularly, they'll know. But I see your face cropping up
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
Um, and it must be great to talk to all of the users of the software. And I know that Riverside have made a lot of improvements even since I've been using it since 6 months ago, maybe a bit longer. We were talking briefly about just before I hit record about how you can now blur the background on desktop,
Oh, yeah.
um, which you could do as a guest, I think, a few couple of months ago, and you could do it on your phone. But to be the recorder and to have it on the desktop version, I was like, "Whoa, this is great."
Yeah, no, so we're like, I mean, it's really interesting to be like a community manager in general, but with this community, I mean, it's a bunch of podcasters and video creators. So you all love to talk, which is good because I also love to talk. So it's not like you're kind of talking to a bunch of crickets. Like people actually want to talk with you, get on, talk about what they're dealing with, what they love to do. So I personally think that it's the best job to have at Riverside. So it's nice. I
I
like
would
it.
think it would be. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I would think it would be a great job. Like you say, we start podcasts because we like to talk. And so, I mean, that's the only reason to start a podcast, isn't it? It's not, it's just to talk to people.
Yeah, could you imagine a podcast of somebody that's like, I'd just rather not talk? I mean, it'd be short or like mostly silent, but like they're really cool, interesting people that like share a bunch of really cool, interesting stories. And every time you talk to somebody, it's just so different. Like one person I was talking to the other day has a podcast about RVs and he's just like on the road all of the time. And then you talk with another person who's like this motivational type of thing. It's just you talk to like I get to talk with a million different people that all care about very much so about one very specific subject. It's interesting. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And there's so many like podcast like niches out there, isn't there? So it's 1 minute you could be like you say, you could be talking to a guy with RVs. The next minute you could be talking to someone who's a physics major, and then you could be talking to someone who loves like ants or something.
Well, I was talking with a guy the other day who does like a wrestling and music podcast. And like his whole thing is like he talks about because all the wrestlers, when they come out, they have different songs that'll play. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about how they like decided which song and how they presented themselves with each song and what considerations they made, which I would never think about, but like super cool and very niche. But like a lot of people, a lot of the time are like, oh, are there enough podcasts? Like, aren't there too many? Like, there, with as far as niches and everything. And I always kind of respond, I'm like, that's like saying there are too many books. We've already written enough about these topics.
Yeah.
So like, it's cool to see like the variety, but also when you talk with people that kind of are in the same niche, how they approach it differently, how they speak differently. It's just cool. It's a nice human project, I guess.
Yeah, I love like different styles of different things that you watch, and like just the other day I started watching a series on Sky, that's what's it called? It's called Based on a True Story, and it's about a couple that get involved themselves with a serial killer to make a podcast because the wife of the couple is obsessed with like the crime podcast scene. And I was just like, you watch it, and they were talking about the podcast, and they were talking about downloads and things like that, and you're just like, and there was a real cliffhanger where they were thinking about how many downloads they'd have after they launched, and the cliffhanger was to imply that they were going to get the 500,000 that they wanted. But
Hmm.
I knew from experience that you
It's gonna be
never
like,
get as many as you want.
yeah. I also know that from like doing events and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, thousands are going to sign up, and then like we get a good turnout. But I'm also it's there's a lot of pressure. You're like, okay, well in my mind, thousands are going to sign up, so now I need to make this happen. But yeah, I'm also a true crime person. Sometimes like I love to listen to true crime stuff, and I laugh sometimes like when I'm walking on the street and passing people. Like if only they could hear what's going on in my headphones right now. It's like she got home to a dark house, like I'm just like walking on the street looking like a normal person.
You should start a true crime podcast. That was great.
I should like it's just using that voice the whole time. I do want to
Yeah.
start a podcast. I will say I'm a bit of a fraud in the way that I don't have my own, but I really want to start one. I just have to think about what I want to talk about. So TBD.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It took me a while to decide. It took me nearly 4 years to decide what I wanted to talk about.
Okay, so perfect. So I'm like 1/4 of the way into this process.
Yeah, like I like it. You've got time. You've got time. Okay,
Thank you.
so let's talk about your journey then, because I know it's interesting from our previous conversation that we've had.
Hmm.
So usually we start back at teenage Kendall. So late teen or mid to late teens, where I mean certainly in the UK, you have to kind of decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So I'm not sure. I mean, although you're originally from the States, but you're currently in Tel Aviv, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just so for the listeners, just in case, or watchers, of course. So tell us then, did you have aspiration? What aspirations did you have as a teenager with what you were going to do when you had to go to work?
I like that it started. Did you have aspirations? No, I'm kidding. I think it's crazy that we expect people like at 18 to like decide what they're gonna do with their lives because like wow, there's been a journey since. So I like as far as I can remember, I always wanted to be like an author. I always wanted to write books. When I was younger, I used to before I could actually write, I used to just like tell my mom stories, and we have a bunch of like very cute little books where she would type out each page and then I'd draw the picture, but I would tell her the stories and like make a book out of it. So that was something that I really wanted to do. And then as life went on, I also realized that I needed to make money, and so I was like, okay, what can I do to write and make money? So then I was like, great, journalism, which is funny because journalists don't make money, but that's neither here nor there. So I started doing journalism in college. I went to American University in DC, and from there studied journalism. But at American, you have to have a second major or minor. Like, what are you going to be communicating? I was in communications. And so I ended up getting an internship at USA Today for a politics reporting job, political reporting. And that's
Cool.
when I kind of started doing political reporting and went in from there. I don't know how long you want me to go in on this journey, but basically I started in political journalism at USA Today as an intern, and then I was a breaking news politics reporter for Politico, ended up going to Bloomberg News and covering the 2016 US presidential race, which was insane, and then moved over to MSNBC as a television reporter and producer for their political news. So, yeah, and now I'm a community manager, so it has been a wild ride.
That does sound like quite a wild ride.
Yeah,
2016, was that
that was Trump
what
versus
the election?
Hillary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
So
gonna
that was
say,
Trump's first
yeah.
election. It was crazy to see because like at the time, you have no idea what's going to happen. So suddenly you're like going to these rallies for like to report on them, and there's like lines around the block and like stadiums. It was also when Bernie Sanders was running. It was really like every day was insane in a great way, but also like looking back, you're like, wow, I really witnessed this crazy time in history. But at the time that you're doing it, you're like just running on overdrive, going from one place to another, like living out of a suitcase. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine that was pretty hectic, kind of on the road, as it were, and kind of and such crazy times, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I lived out of a suitcase. And there are a lot of things that you don't realize in politics when everyone's on the road. Like, everyone, for example, is campaigning in the same states and the same places. So you'll be in the hotel lobby and you'd see like Bernie Sanders's people next to like Trump's people at the hotel bar. And like, it's just like very funny situations where you just see these like clashes of people. And then, but my favorite part was like, I would go through the lines that were standing outside these rallies and talk with them about what they cared about, which kind of relates to what I'm doing now. That's kind of the genesis for me. I would go through the lines and talk to people like, why are you here? What's your big issue? What do you care about? Like, what do you want other people to know about your life? And those are the stories that I love to do the most. And so a lot of time people are like, how did you go from journalism to community management? But when I think about it, like that's kind of what I'm doing now with podcasters, like talking with them about what they care about. And yeah, I think that's really what just drives me as a person. And it goes back to the whole author thing. It's like I just really love stories. I love people's stories and hearing about them and kind of reacting to them in whatever way that is.
Yeah, I love that. And you put me to the post. The next thing I was going to say was, well, we all want to know how did you end up going from political reporter to community manager?
Yeah,
Well, we certainly know why, but
yeah.
was that like an easy transition, or was that kind of a
No, it was a different transition. So basically, after Bloomberg was like an insane job because I also my bosses at the time, they were two big political reporters, and they had a show on Showtime called The Circus. It was Mark Halperin and John Heilman. And so they had a show on Showtime called The Circus, and basically what that was behind the scenes of the campaigns. So not only was I reporting for Bloomberg, but I was also like going on the campaign buses, like going on Bernie Sanders' campaign bus and going on Hillary Clinton's plane to go to the next location. Like it was a dream. It was really cool. And I really loved it. And then after the 2016 campaign ended, so did our contracts with Bloomberg. So I ended up going to NBC and I loved it there, but it was more of just, like the day to day of politics, putting on a daily show, which drove me for a while. But I started to, like, it really takes up your whole life, like you can't be like, oh, I'd rather news to break between 9 and 5. So I would have two cell phones. I like one for work. I would, if any news happened, I would have to leave wherever I am. It just, for me, it wasn't sustainable in wanting to have an outside life. But then on top of that, I ended up going to a trip and I was in Tel Aviv and I met my now wife. And so we were talking, and so it was kind of simultaneous. I was visiting Tel Aviv a bunch to see her and being in this, like, if you've ever been to Tel Aviv, it's this like really beautiful city on the beach. Like the culture here is just also really, really Mediterranean. So it's very relaxed. And then I was going back to DC and like running through the halls of the Capitol at all hours, like the opposite of relaxed. So I think that it was this perfect storm of like kind of falling out of love with my job and falling in love with something else and someone else. And like, so I was like, I don't have any property. I don't own anything. So why not just try moving? So I moved for a bit, ended up being successful because we just had a baby. So, I would say that it's going well. Talk to me at 3 a.m. Maybe I'll say differently. But so then when I moved, I needed to find another job, and I couldn't do political reporting because I didn't know the language and I didn't know the politics as well as I did in the US. And so then I was like, okay, I'll do writing. Like I'll start writing. So then I was a marketing writer, hated it. I couldn't spend another day sitting there being like, should we use the word grow or expand for this landing page? Like, just pick one and let me know and I'll type it, And then Riverside reached out about a community management role, and I'd never heard of it before, but it really connected, as I said, with like the idea of getting to know people. And I realized that that's what I loved about journalism, not the writing part, but the story part. That's my long answer.
That's a fantastic story. And obviously, congratulations on is it a boy or a girl, your child?
She's a girl, yeah.
Oh, congratulations on your little girl. I have,
Thank you.
well, I have a daughter. She's recently turned 13, which makes me feel very old.
Oh, no. 13 is a terrible age.
It's been a long time since I had the 3 a.m. wake-ups, etc.
Yeah. So, and also the fun part that I learned is that like in 4 months, or it seems like 3.5 months, like they start to like, we just got her to start sleeping, and then at 4 months apparently they like sleep differently, and then they start waking up again. So just when you think that things are successful, you're like, nope, let's go back to the drawing board. So it's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a roller coaster. That's what parenthood is. It's not a journey. It's an up and down roller coaster.
You're right. I'm already finding that.
Cool. That's like I say, that's quite the amazing story. I think we'll go for the questions.
Let's do it.
And then we'll come back to that. We'll talk more about Riverside in a sec. Cool. So you've alluded that you must be at least 21. What's been your favorite age so far?
I'm 33. I would say my favorite age was 27, 28. Literally, I was just counting on my fingers from 5 years. 5 years ago. 27, 28, I would say, because that's when I moved and like kind of burned my life to the ground and moved to another country, and it was just like a really, really cool experience. So that's that answer.
Nice, I like it. I think I moved to the coast, and so I think it feels more open. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I guess that that's the kind of a similar feeling for Tel Aviv with that Mediterranean lifestyle.
Yeah, it's just so like I grew up like New York, DC, Philadelphia, and it's so East Coast, like so much of what you're doing is just fast paced, but also like completely tied up in your career. And here with like this, it's like similar kind of cultural vibes to like Greece, Southern Italy, like this very slower pace kind of, those vibes when you're walking around and you're like, don't any of these people have jobs? How is everybody just sitting outside and talking? That's kind of how it feels, which I like.
That's what I imagine like Venice Beach is like.
Yeah, I actually haven't been to Venice Beach, but I also imagine it to be that way.
Yeah, and then like there's Baywatch people there and stuff like that.
Yeah. People who have been to Venice Beach are probably listening to this and being like, the reality is so different, but I like to think that that's what it's like.
I tell you, one of the other things that makes me think of is sometimes when I go to the gym, occasionally, I go on the exercise bike, and you can have like you can put a screen on, and it's like you're cycling elsewhere, not in the gym. And one of the places on this particular gym, there's these devices that the gym has is it's a Barcelona. It says
Oh,
Barcelona seafront. And so I imagine that that's what the Tel Aviv vibe is also like. It's like
it is.
it's like beachy. There's like little cafes. There's people wandering. There's people rollerblading. There's people cycling. There's people running. And obviously there's water. And then there's like cafes and stuff. And you're like, yeah.
Exactly.
That's the vibe I would get.
That is, which is why I left DC. So yeah, no, it's nice.
Cool. Question number 2. What is your favorite quote? This could be a movie quote, a meme, a motivational quote, or any other quote you can think of.
Oh, okay. This is a weird answer, but it's the first thing that came to mind, which is I can curse, right? You said I can curse.
You can curse, yeah.
Okay. So it would be fuck it, let's do it live. Or fuck it, we'll do it live, which is actually a Bill O'Reilly quote, and I'm not a fan of Bill O'Reilly, but there's a behind the scenes video of him getting ready for a show, and he keeps running the lines, and like there's a drill and there's like something else, and he gets so frustrated, and he just sounds like fuck it, we'll do it live. It's just become like a mantra for me in life, and it's funny because I work at a recording company. But yeah, I think that it's words to live by. Just like that, we'll do it live. It's fine.
I think that I think that's great because I know you said that you work for a recording company, but sometimes like you have to do things off the cuff. I think
Exactly. That's yeah.
when I first started Instagram, or about nearly 5 years ago now, for my business page, it was all very much like, oh well, fast forward I don't know, 18 months or so, and they introduced Instagram lives, and everyone was doing videos in their stories. And I couldn't do stories to save my life. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to say. I kept stumbling over my words. And I was like, what are all these stories all about? But that go live button, I'd go live. I'd
Just go
talk to
live.
whoever rocked up. I'd be like, hey, let's talk. And if no one was in the little funny live room, I was like, just sit there twiddling my thumbs for a little bit, wait for someone to come in. It's a lot easier, I think, sometimes to do it off the cuff than it is to sit
Exactly.
there and prepare. A fun fact about this podcast is that this is episode 33 officially, but I have one trailer and one Christmas special.
Okay.
The trailer is awful. Please don't go and watch it. Um, that was a story in itself, because with Riverside, for those who don't know, you can link it to a creator for Spotify, and then once you've exported the file, you can then just click one button and it will automatically upload, and then you do your show notes and everything.
Mhm.
So I didn't know how it worked. Did it take the video file for Spotify? Did it take the audio file for Spotify? So I thought I'd give it a go. So I literally did a 2-minute thing that was just like, welcome to Rad-Ventures. And then I was like, yeah, click. And then it uploaded it. And because I hadn't scheduled any more episodes, when I went to delete it because it was live, I couldn't. It said you must replace it. So I was like, oh my god. So then I actually had a meeting that morning. I had a Zoom call like straight after I'd clicked post, and so I had to go to that meeting. And then I was sat there through the meeting like, oh my god, I've got to go and change that story. Oh yeah, sorry, no, I was listening. Yeah. I've written it down. Don't worry. And then as soon as I finished, I was like, right, I've got to do this. So I had some notes written down on my piece of paper. And I also used the teleprompter. But the teleprompter, I couldn't get the speed set right. So it was too fast for me. And then it was too slow. And I was just like, oh my god, don't use the teleprompter. Use the... So after like 6 takes, I finally got something that I thought that was okay. And actually, it was a mixture of my notes and the teleprompter. But you can see it. I'm sat there going, yeah, so I wanted to start a podcast, but didn't know what the podcast was. So anyway, join us for the magnificent adventure that is Rad-Ventures. And I tell you what, the point of this story is, and the same kind of applies for my Christmas special as well. That was supposed to be like a 10-minute spectacular, had multiple camera angles. So I was looking at the camera here, and I was looking at the camera there. One of them had background blur, and it was all fantastic. And then, but I can sit here and talk to a complete stranger, basically, for an hour. With a few pauses, while you're processing some information. But if you sat here now and you passed me a script and went, there you go, Richard, there's your episode today, I'd like stare down the barrel of the lens,
Yes.
and I would be like, what?
Exactly. I mean, like the whole like let's do it live, it doesn't just apply to recording. It's like I just use that as a mantra for life. Like I'm not going to go into it and prepare. Let's just go with it. Let's just go into it. And I usually find that that makes more successful meetings, situations. I don't know, just off the cuff. I think it's more authentic.
I like it. It's definitely a good one. I'm gonna start adding that to my repertoire.
When people send me questions before podcasts, I'm like, I'll read through them. Yes, I will. Sure. But then I'm just
Yeah,
like, yeah, we'll do it live.
yeah. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Hmm.
I might get that on a t-shirt.
You should. It's a really funny video because it's like literally this like a TV anchor is just try and he's like known to be a pretty angry guy, and it's just every single time he tries to read like the teleprompter, there's like a drill or somebody spelled something wrong, and you could see through the video he's getting more and more angry, and then by the end he's just like, "We'll do it live." It's this whole yeah, it's a good quote.
I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna link it to in the show notes.
Yes, find it in the show
Uh,
notes.
yeah. Cool. Right. So where are we up to? So here we go. Question number 3 then. Google Suite or Microsoft 365?
I'm a Google girl.
Lots of people are Google people.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it easier. Maybe it's just because I started that way, and then like whatever you start, I feel like you just kind of continue, or maybe that's just me. But yeah, Google all the way.
I like it. It's have you used Microsoft in the past? Is that what they use in like in corporate political
Yeah,
journalism
I would
or?
use like Microsoft Word, but then I don't know. As soon as I got a Mac and I had to like download all of it, I'm like, I guess I use Google now. Like it was like, yeah, this is over.
Right. So question 4. I'll tell you a fun story about question 4. So question 4 used to be, if you were stranded on a desert island, what app could you not live without? But people would focus too much on the desert island. So
Mm.
we changed it to, what app can you not live without?
Okay, but I like the question of the desert island because I would choose TikTok only because I would be entertained
Mm.
throughout, you know? Um, I will say that the app that I can't live without is a strange one. It's my ExpressVPN app. And that is because most of the television I watch is still American television, and so you can usually find me using my phone as a television on the show on the really trashy television that I like to watch that's American. My second other favorite app is definitely my most favorite app, which is the Riverside app, so I can record and edit on the go.
I like it.
Yeah.
I nearly prompted you to add that in.
Yeah, it's
Don't
definitely the
worry.
Riverside app, but it's also ExpressVPN so that I can watch 90 Day Fiance on my phone.
And affiliate link available for ExpressVPN or?
No, but I should.
Yeah, you should.
Show notes.
Um, yeah, show notes, and I'm gonna do the magic clip. I'm gonna do that. Your favorite app is Riverside.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Right. Question number 5. How many unread emails do you have on your phone right now?
Ooh, hold on. Okay, this I'm gonna say I'm gonna back this up with the fact that this also includes like if I did my work email, it's 12. If I do my personal email, it says 1,000 plus. And that's because I was a journalist and I'm still subscribed to all of the breaking news on my phone, which like half of which I care about at this point. So I don't open most of them and then my inbox becomes a mess. So blame my journalism background, but yeah, a lot of unopened emails.
We'll allow it, especially if it's the news and breaking
Yeah.
stories. What we tend to find is that when we speak to like small business owners such as myself, is that it's all the mailing lists that we subscribe to,
Hmm.
like James Clear and his Atomic Habits and things like that. And you see it and you go, "I'll read that later," and then it falls down the list.
I actually, my official number on my personal email is 4,160.
Oh, you
I
need
know,
to
I should
employ
clean that
someone
up.
to go through those.
I need to unsubscribe from a lot of breaking news because I would get literally breaking news about like every single little thing. So maybe I can scale it back.
Yeah. Um, I went through a recent unsubscribe fest.
That's what I seem
Um,
to need to do. But then
Yeah.
that's a job in itself when you're at 4,000. So like, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, it was a lot of swipe delete, swipe delete. Oh, quick, unsubscribe to that one, and then but then you have to go into the portal, and then they make it like really hard to unsubscribe, don't they? I know it's supposed to be
Exactly.
nice and easy, but they'll have two ticks, two tick boxes, and you think,
And it's
oh
like, are
well,
you sure? And I'm like, well, I'm here, aren't I?
yeah, it's like I
Like,
made it this
yeah,
far.
yeah. But on this note, we are starting a community newsletter for Riverside, which is going to be, you will never want to unsubscribe to that. It's going to be packed with incredible news about the community. And, maybe when it's up and running, I can throw in this episode as a shameless plug for both of us.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
we send over the subscribe link when it's ready, and we will put it in the show notes.
Awesome. I'll let you know. We're in ideation phase right now. So,
Nice.
yes.
I am working on the master plan for me. Next master plan, apart from start a podcast to get to 33 episodes, is a mail list. Especially with the recent social media fiasco that was TikTok being removed in the US.
Mhm.
You got all those big audiences on. Well, not big, not they're not massive for my audience, but at the same time they're there. They're loyal. 900 and was it 32? I think today.
That's great.
And it's like, how would I get hold of them if they decided to do the same thing with Instagram over here?
Exactly. And also,
So
like, a lot of people sign up for things through email. Like, all of our webinars, we can push them a bunch on social media, but on email is where you're going to find the most success, which is crazy considering the fact that we just had a whole conversation that we have thousands of unopened emails, but people are opening them somewhere out there.
yeah, I suppose it's the small amount of emails that we don't open. So
Mhm.
if you've got 4,000 in your inbox, how many of those have you opened? Like, I don't know, 50,000?
Exactly. That's glass half full. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Glass is always half full,
Hmm.
or is the glass twice as big as it needs to be?
Exactly. Wow.
Um, okay, talk to us a little bit about Riverside. There, that's the questions done, by the way. For now, great answers.
Thank
Loved
you.
those.
Thank you. We did it
Um,
live.
yeah, we did it live. So talk to us about Riverside then. Okay, here we go. Here's a effort. Do it live. Give
Hmm.
us your top three features on Riverside.
Ooh. Top three features are um one I would say, okay, one I would say, and it's not as much of a feature. So I would say the high quality files, like the things that you record, and then when you listen back and look back at them, just like look and sound really incredible. So that's baseline, my favorite thing, because otherwise anything else that you do is just like, if it's crappy video, then everything else that you do is not going to look good. Another one is smart scenes. We just added it, and basically, what it does is you can just press a button and AI will cut different layouts. Because it's not always fun to just like watch a video where it's two people next to each other on a grid. So sometimes it'll go full screen, sometimes it'll go picture in picture, sometimes it'll go grid, like where like one person next to the other. And it is super time saving, but also makes your videos look good and cut out like hours of work that I had to do. And then I would also say animated captions, I think. Just because I really love how they look. Like, I love playing around with them, playing around with the fonts, making everything like pop on screen. I think that it just makes it all look really tied together. So those are the three off the cuff. But check the
Fantastic. I
show
love it.
notes for the whole list. I'm kidding.
I did put you on the spot there, so I do apologize slightly, but they
No,
were
I like
great
it.
answers.
Thank you.
So video quality, correct. I like that. That's really good.
Hmm.
Um, for those who have a podcast or use Riverside, they'll know that we record in 720, but then we can like upscale to 4K, which is great, I think. And I don't think you get that on other platforms, but I will stand corrected. The first ever episode I recorded was I used my laptop camera, which is an
Hmm.
Asus ZenBook, so it's a skinny one. It's like Asus's version of a MacBook, I suppose, and the
Hmm.
camera on it basically should be a potato. So the first episode there, my guest was in like crystal 4K, and then there I was like a blurry mess. So I was like, oh, so I bought an external camera,
Hmm.
And then after the Christmas special, when comparing it to my mobile phone camera, I was like, no, that won't do. So I'm currently on an Insta360 1RS 4K lens.
Oh, nice.
Um, and what I really like now is that, like we mentioned before, you can blur the background now on this because there's no lens. Well, there is a lens obviously on the camera, but it's integrated. There's no change in the aperture or anything, so I
Mhm.
can't blur my background unless I use Riverside, which has now been launched. So, um, but yeah, so although it's recorded in 720, that upscale into 4K, especially with this external camera, looks fantastic on YouTube.
Yeah, it like
And of course,
it
yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I was gonna say it just makes a huge difference because I always say like if you're recording something and you could have the best content, the best conversation, if it like looks grainy, is not fun to look at, and by that I mean like not like pleasing to look at,
Mhm.
or if it's just audio, like if I'm putting my headphones on my ears and it doesn't sound good, like it could be the best conversation in the world, but it's a difficult listen. So that's why like that's always my baseline favorite feature is like the quality of it.
Yeah, I'm one for audio too. I always say to like when I'm doing an Instagram video, I'll always go. Well, I won't always, but most of the time I'll get the external mics out, just to make it pop more than everyone else's.
Hmm.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is obviously you've got the receiver on your phone and it's harder to hold, and then you have to get a stand out and all that. But it's worth it in the end for that audio.
And
Um,
you have like a
s-
light up microphone, so
oh
jealous.
yeah,
It's like a party over there.
yeah, this is like a cheap Amazon one. I thought you could lock it in the colors, so I thought it would be my brand colors of neon pink and electric blue. But yeah, we have the party going. We did have last episode. I had a Prime light that one of my clients sells, and they've loaned it to me so that I can make some social media footage of it. Um, but I didn't put it in this video because I thought that people might want to know that I have returned it, but I've yet to return it because I've yet to make the
So
footage.
all of a sudden, like we'll be in the middle of the recording, and the police will come to your door,
Yeah,
demanding the light back.
yeah, they want the Prime light back. That it is officially on loan, and they haven't sponsored the show or anything. But yeah, we like to make it look like a little party in the back.
Yeah.
Um, Smart scenes, I love that feature. I apart from one episode, well, once I realized what it was, there's only one episode where I forgot to turn it on.
Mhm.
But from watching reels, the human um, attention span has been reduced, and
Yes.
so you've got like that 3 seconds, and apparently you're out. That's it. It's like I'll watch you for 3 seconds, and then boom, I'm gone. So smart scenes is great for that. I love that feature. And I love like after you'd said to me about moving it, so you can extend it, shorten it, change which camera you want. So I mix it up. I have like speaker speaking, then and then I sometimes I'll go. It does automatically. The AI finds the reaction. So if you say something to me and I just smile, then how does Smart Scenes know?
It's crazy. It really is crazy. I think that also what's cool about it, like you were saying, is that like all of the AI that you have, like at the end of the day, we're creating. So I want AI to do things for me, but also I want to be able to change it if I don't like it because that's part of the creative process. So that's why I also like that the AI that we're using, like you can still change it. If I don't like that the scene is here, I can move it, I can delete it. Like it's nice to be able to have that kind of freedom, especially when you're creating something.
Yeah, it is great. It's a great software.
Thank
Heard
you.
it here first. Yeah. Um, my next one for Riverside, and I did suggest this to the guys when I spoke to them. Um, they were a couple of guys from production or something. I don't know, but I had a call with them anyway, and they really put me on the spot and like, what do you want to see? What's on your Christmas list? And I couldn't think at the time. I was like, I don't know. But I did email afterwards, and AI eye correction would be great.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so like when I'm looking at the screen to have a conversation. But the first time I used this camera, because it's on a removable tripod up and down, I set it high, but I didn't need my laptop up. So every time I was talking, I'd look down the lens and I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm a YouTube star now. And then every time my guest would talk, I would look down at the computer, but
And it
I was
looks like you're
looking
not paying
down.
attention. Yeah, and it
Yeah,
looks
it
like you're not paying
does.
attention during that time. Yeah, I have that in my webinars sometimes too when I'm checking the live chat. People will
Yeah.
be talking and I'm just like there scrolling through the live chat. It looks like I'm just like scrolling some messages, but I promise I'm working. So
Yeah, my when I was talking, I kind of like looked bored. I was like this, and I was like, oh no, that looks awful. But smart scenes to the rescue. I'll just have it so that every time he's talking, we're looking at
full
him, not
screen.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'll pass that on to the team, and I'm glad to hear that you spoke with the team because that's one of the big things that we do at Riverside is like we like I'll connect people with community, they'll connect themselves, and we just are talking to users all the time, which I just recommend anyone does. Like I think that it just keeps you in check, it inspires you for something maybe you didn't think about. So yeah, that's how we're always improving.
yeah, it is great. And if I've ever had a problem with Riverside, um, I have always emailed, and the support from Riverside is great.
Good to
Um,
know. That's good to
so
hear.
kudos to the Riverside team there. Yeah, but if you're interested in Riverside, if you're a listener or under or a watcher and you want to make your own podcast, hit me up. I've got an affiliate link. Uh,
Yes, definitely.
um, cool. Right. So great. That was Riverside done, I reckon, for now. Let's ask you, what do you want to be if and when you grow up? Of course, growing up is optional.
Thank you. I like it's hard a question to answer because I feel like my journey has gone like in such crazy loops that I still think that I want to write a book. I still think that at one point I want to write a book. I want to go back to that author kind of vibe that I had when I was a teen. That would be my goal. So I guess that's who I'd want to be.
I love that. I think you would write a great book.
Thank you.
I can see like a couple of good books from you.
Thank
I
you.
can think of like a kind of adventurous autobiography about a political journalist on the road.
I wish I took notes
Um,
during that time. Like I wish I kept like some sort of journal or something, but I guess I was
yeah,
so busy that I couldn't. But
it's always hindsight's always great, isn't it? You always look back and think, oh wow, and then and then you think at the time, but it was just like you say, a blur. But
exactly.
yeah, I think we're going to get a good couple of books out of you, Kendall, and I
Thank you.
reckon I can't wait for the podcast.
Yes,
Um, Maybe it should be the adventures of a political journalist.
it could. It could. I don't
Maybe you could get a
know.
couple of other
I have so
political
many
journalists
ideas in
on
my
there.
mind that I'm having a hard time like paring it down. But yes, that was on the list. I really do wish that I kept like some sort of journal or diary during that time because there was so many crazy stories. But it could be. Yeah.
I look forward to it. Um, so my after watching this show the other day and watching this, the true crime podcasty thing that they were doing, and the way that they cut it and edited it and stuff like that, and you don't see much of that. But I know enough about it to know that in the background, there is no background because it's a TV show that's just implied, or is it inferred? I don't know. Either one, but you know what I mean. And I was like, yeah, I can see the killer there making his podcast,
Mm-hmm.
saying things, recutting it and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to make. I would love to do some solo episodes to kind of fit in with Rad-Ventures.
I would definitely recommend it. Like I think that it's a cool, different way to challenge yourself. So you should definitely do some solo episodes.
Yeah, I mean the problem I have is yes, I could probably whack together like a 10-minute episode, but then my theory is that I should probably do it audio only because once you're kind of leaning over this microphone and you've not got the distraction of this, then you're okay.
Yeah,
But
I think so too.
when you have to sit here and also stare at the camera and also not touch your face, and I mean it's okay when you've got a guest, because like if I've rubbed my eye, which I have a few times today, I could just, just turn the screen over to you for a second.
Exactly. Yeah, but
Um,
also like it just lets you let go a bit more. It just lets you like kind of talk into a microphone and kind of rant on for a little bit, which is nice and also makes for a better solo episode. So try it out. Do it. Why not?
yeah, then I think people might think, oh, audio only is just. I mean, it'd be okay on the listening platforms if people are heading out for a walk or whatever, but on YouTube,
Mhm.
when you just have the image, and if you're lucky, if you can get one of those animations with the kind of
Like the sound
sounds.
wave. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think it did say in my Christmas episode, my Christmas special, there was going to be solo episodes this year. I feel bad for committing to that now because we're already in February and I haven't done one.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll get to it.
Yeah, it's on the list as well as the mailing list. Okay, Kendall, I'm going to keep this as a shorter episode.
I'm really happy that I was able to get to join. And I think that it's nice to be able to just talk about the journey. So I love that you're giving that a platform.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you tell everyone where they can find you then, if they want to get in touch.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Kendall Breitman. If you're also a podcaster, you can find us in our Facebook community. It is called Conversation Creators by Riverside, and it has about 20,000 now creators in it. And so it's just a really great community of a bunch of people who are kind of going through the journey together. So definitely check it out.
That's awesome. I will link that in the show notes too. What I like about the Facebook group or the Facebook community is I'm a member of a few of these. So I'm a member of quite a few podcasting ones. I'm a member of quite a few YouTube ones. And I tell you, I'm also a member of the Riverside community on Facebook. But I tell you one thing that I've never experienced in the Riverside one that I have in others is nobody has ever tried to sell me anything.
We work hard at that. That's good to hear.
Yeah, that is really good because I can post a thumbnail in a YouTube group or another podcast group, and I will have God knows how many direct messages with people trying to sell me their YouTube SEO services or their graphic design services. But all you get from the Riverside community group is support.
That's exactly what I really love to hear that because that's exactly what we try to build. And I can't tell you how many pending requests that are in the folder that I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a person that's just like spamming groups with like, I can help with your YouTube SEO. So I'm glad to hear that it's working because it takes a long time and a lot of profile stalking to make that happen. So I am very glad to hear that.
Yeah, it does work. It's awesome. Cool. So for the listeners that are still with us, thanks for listening so far. Thanks to Kendall for coming on and talking to us. I will be back next week with another guest. Peace out.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Rad-Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite platform. Always happy to chat, so hit me up in the DMs, and I'll see you on the next Rad-Venture.